Swimming Championships with EDF, proud partner of swimming.
Welcome back to Barcelona. 2 medals down so far. One for China, one for Germany. As we head into our next competition, it's prelim phase for the women's 10 metres. Confirmation of the judges, execution judges, as well as synchronised judges, remember, for this relatively new format of diving. 13 teams will go, with 12 places available in the final. Chen Rulin and her new partner Liu Huojia, definitely the favourites coming into this one for China. So this is what we've got coming up for you today from this World Championships. The women's 10 metre synchronised prelims about to happen live here on Eurosport. Then we'll take a short break and we'll be back a couple of hours after that for the men's 1 metre springboard final. Not an Olympic discipline, the 1 metre springboard, but a really good competition and a good chance to see what sort of conditions some of the big springboard diver names are in, because they use that as a bit of a warm-up heading into the 3 metre. So that's how things stand in Barcelona. We're ready to go with the women's prelims. That'll be coming up shortly.
Lucky because I never give up. Gifted because I don't take shortcuts. Focused because I see past the finish line. Fastest because speed is my competition. Legend because I'm one step ahead.
The Samsung Smart Camera NX300. Fast shutter speed meets hybrid autofocus. Shoot fast, share faster.
Eurosport Player is the Eurosport multi-screen service. With Eurosport Player, watch British Eurosport and British Eurosport 2 live on all your favourite devices through a single subscription. Follow great sporting events live and on demand. Enjoy exclusive content such as 7 tennis courts simultaneously. Eurosport Player. All sports, all emotions, all screens.
Live the World Swimming Championships with EDF, proud partner of swimming.
Welcome back. Another excellent crowd here enjoying the morning sun in Barcelona in this fabulous municipal pool on Montjuic. That isn't rain, I can promise you. That's the water agitators down at poolside. Here's our list in terms of the pairings for this prelim competition. 13 pairs will go and 12 will progress through. In position 12, Chen Rulin and Liu Huojia, her 4th different partner as she looks to make 4 consecutive gold medals in a row in this competition. Chen, Olympic individual champion. They are going to be very, very difficult to beat indeed. Alongside me, as we see the British pair of Tonya Couch and Sarah Barrow. Alongside me, former Great Britain diver, former Olympian, former World Championship diver Chris Snowd. Considering this is towards the start of the next Olympic cycle, we are seeing some phenomenal diving, very exciting for the next 3-4 years into Rio.
standard of the diving for the first part of the competition has been terrific. We've seen some of the existing divers that are very experienced up against some of the newer divers that are coming through from the World Championships, Junior World Championships, and the Europeans and the Junior Asian Games. And so you see the old still staying in there for 2016 and some new ones coming along. And the standard has been incredible. But what is surprising is that the Chinese can be beat. We've just seen that in the men's 10-meter synchronized competition. I'm not quite sure that's going to happen here in the women's synchronized competition with Shenru Lin, who has something like 14 gold medals from Olympic, World and World Cup Championships. That's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, she has a quite exceptional record. But for our divers this morning, it's about a place in the final and a chance for a shot at those medals. So it'll be a really good opportunity across these 5 rounds to see what sort of form the big names are in and to see if we've got any new contenders on the scene. But certainly Chen and Liu of China go into this one as the red-hot favourites. Women's prelim competition on the 10-metre platform. And the stunning pictures from this pool in Barcelona will continue. Olympic pool in '92, World Championship pool in 2003. A decade on from that last World Championships here in Barcelona, we are being given a real treat, some super diving. 13 pairs to go then for 12 places in the final in this women's synchro 10-metre platform. Emily Boyd, formerly lived in Great Britain, moved to Australia and competing for Australia alongside Lara Tave. And remember, first 2 rounds of diving, the easy dives, 2.0, the maximum tariff that you can dive to. And that's not a great start from the young Australians.
Yeah, kicking off with a back dive pike. Just see the synchronization out slightly, different line-up techniques, and the entries letting them down. There's a bit of gap there between the head and the shins. Could have closed off the pike. Do like the layout though. The synchronization was off.
45.60. For those of you that know your diving, you'll know that getting into the 50s in these first 2 rounds is crucial. Not the be-all and end-all of the competition, but it gives you a good base to build from. Olympic bronze medalists then. Megan Perfetto and Roselyne Fillon. Fillon diving nearest the camera. Very nice start.
Yeah, inward dive pike. Good springy jump up off the platform. Then into an open pike position. Arms just a little out of line, but stretching for the water from about 5 meters down. Won't go over 50 points though.
Judge number 6, please.
Judge number 6 are asking to put in again. That's an execution judge.
Yes, heavyweight for the Canadian coaches.
They've got 50, that's good.
Pretty solid from there.
Just thought with that splash, it would have been down in the high 40s, but good for them.
Yeah, they'll take that start. The North Americans. Maria Corjo and Julia Stoller. Corjo nearest the camera, the slightly shorter of the 2 athletes.
This a reverse dive in the pike position.
A very laboured jump from the platform, particularly from Stoller, and that's not a great start from the Germans.
Yeah, Stoller sort of hesitated and then jumped, but she got a better of the 2 entries. A little bit more splash from Kurja. There's the touch. Synchronization is good here. So the slide against the legs, body tight before reaching back.
Shrug of the shoulders from Julia Stoller. 45 marks though. Not bad. Somebody's going to miss out today. It'll be interesting to see whether it is on a mistake or just on general form. Reverse dive then for the Koreans. Kim Soo-ji, joint youngest in this prelim. Very lively dive, but just overcooked it, unfortunately.
Again,
15 years old, Kim. Sorry, Chris.
Yeah, just needs to be consistent. As you're saying, young, just needs a little bit more experience. There's the jump. Lining up different way, one round the side, one in front of the face. The synchronization just a little off on the line-up at the back end of the dive.
Again, mid-40s. Certainly a solid start from the youngsters. Yeah, we love a good name on Eurosport, and Cheyenne Cousineau will be diving furthest away from the camera for USA. Certainly fulfills the brief on that one.
5, 6, 7, 8, 1.
Cheyenne counts it out, and that was pretty good from the two Americans.
Brunberg just jumps the dive back from the platform a little bit. At this point, the dive is going well, but we can see two divers, and that's what the judges will see. If you get the right synchronization, you won't see the second dive. There's a beautiful shot over the top of the city. You can see the arms are out of line, so different body position on the pike.
And high 40s. Good start for Cousineau and Bromberg of the USA. And a good start to this prelim competition. We'll take a short break there.
The more you share experiences, the greater they become.
Live the World Swimming Championships with EDF, proud partner of swimming.
Welcome back. Yasmin and Seti Yanangsi of Indonesia have just dived, but next up, joint youngest competitor in the competition at 15 years of age, Yulia Timoshenina, diving alongside Ekaterina Petukova. No Colton saw in action that try to go, but a good chance for these two youngsters, Chris, to experience a World Championship prelim.
That's right, and
well, they've no idea why they're being held, and this is one of those experience situations that you come across. This can sometimes affect the young divers. There's a hold while marks are confirmed, and you have to get the nod from the judges. You can't just go up there and dive.
yeah, so they would have that slight interruption. There we are. It was the scores just being delayed. 39 points for the Indonesians.
Yeah, miss for the Indonesians in terms of their qualification opportunities today.
Well, it's great weather today. Look at that. Not too much wind up there on the platform.
The first dive then for Russia. Can get it a little breezy in the afternoon in Barcelona. Now then, has that hold affected the two teenagers?
Reverse dive pike.
And a solid enough start for them.
Yeah, reasonable jump, just maybe a little bit away from the platform. Yeah, slight lean forward there. Just makes the dive look, at the start, a little low. Holds the entry well, just a small splash being thrown up.
Decent score though. Janina with the slightly darker hair. Walking away to the hot tub and happy, I'm sure, with near 50. So, Pandeleda Rinong Pan and Munye Leon. Very good pair from Malaysia. Pan already had experience at the highest level, has medals at the highest level as well. Diving nearest the camera in this first round. Well, it was good, but an unfortunate excessive leg movement from Leong just detracted from the station. But
yeah, first for Malaysia Olympic Games. Oh, beautiful dive from her. Leong too, just slightly loosened back going through the water. Should score well though.
Yeah, she's a real heroine back in Malaysia. In 2009 as well, managed to pick up a bronze medal at the World Championships. That was Malaysia's first ever diving World Championship medal. And a chance to carry things on today, but she'll have a lot of company, not least of all from these two. Paula Espinosa, one of our favourites here on Eurosport, alongside her regular pairs partner, Alejandra Orozco. And the Olympic silver medalists away nicely.
Espinosa just completely disappeared as she went through the water.
Well, that was missing in Kazan, wasn't it, from her diving? She was not sharp in Russia at the Student Games.
Much sharper now. She's won the World Student Games 4 times. That's a long time to be a student. That's 8 years.
No wonder she enjoys it. Well, she said this year she's actually going to concentrate on her studies. 25 years of age, got to think about life after diving. 50.40, good start for Mexico. Reisinger and Kormos, an established pair now. We remember seeing them dive as teenagers, European and World Championship level, and the two Hungarians now have to bring that experience to the party. Should make the final. Reisinger furthest away from the camera. And just a little over on that one.
Yeah, they picked up a swing on the start. When you jump into your reverse dive, you should stretch up, not pull your arms back. Just see the arms, yeah, just a little bit of a swing there. A holding well, and a quick knee save under the water. Great entry from Reisinger there on the left-hand side. Puts a great save on it. A bit more splash up there from Kormos.
48 marks, that's fine. So Hungary on their way. And, very vocal support from the British diving team for these two. Two very popular athletes. Tonya Couch furthest away from the camera. Sarah Barrow nearest on their first round dive. Love it. Love the confidence that they really took to the attack on that dive.
Yeah, there's Andy Banks, also coaches Tom Daly. So they're in control. Their synchronization is excellent. They always score over 50 points. Sonya's just a little further out going through the water, but look at the synchronization there. Perfect leg position, around the side with the arms. That's textbook. Oh, they're under 50 points. That's very unusual. I think it's because Tonya just jumped slightly further forward than Sarah Barrow.
Well, there we go. Judges being quite tough on that one, considering that Canada made it into the 50s. Interesting start. So, General in. And Liu Xuya, 16 years of age, Liu. She's the diver that counted it out. Very nice. And a good start from China. Red-hot favourites coming into this competition.
As we said, Chen Rilin, 4-time Olympic gold medalist. Look at that. Round the side, locking out, good entry. Actually, I think Liu is 16 this year. I think she's still 15. It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, you're right, actually, later this year,
and
Chris.
Shen Rilin is still only 20 years old.
Yes, veteran. Veteran. 52.80. Fantastic start, as you would expect. A lot for the youngster to cope with, but made a solid start there. And to finish, North Korea, Kim Jin-ok and Cho Eun-kyung. So Kim, furthest away from the camera. Reverse dive for them. Well, just a little stutter at the start, but it didn't seem to affect them.
Yeah, as their arms swung down, the chest went forward, and then you see the jump forward away from the platform. Just here, chest is down, moving away, but then once in the air, synchronization is good, arms moving at the same time, reaching for the water, and only a small amount of splash. That's good synchronization, just a small technical fault at the beginning of the dive.
48.60, good start for the North Koreans. So remember, top 12 is where you need to be for the final. So far, Indonesia under pressure. Emily Boyd and Lara Tawit. 10th position for the Australians. Emily Boyd nearest the camera. Former tumbling gymnast in the northeast of England.
That's right, and then she moved to Australia when she was 12, and she only started diving at 13, which is quite late.
Yeah, that's much better. They were, I think, a little nervous in the first round, and that reflected in the dive. That's much more like it.
Strong jump. Synchronisation out a little bit. Tawit has a lean forward on the start, but gets the better of the two entries.
Australia here with another strong team, but more of a youth influence on this Australian team, building towards 2016. Not as strong as we've seen from them in the past. Megan Benfetto in your shot, alongside partner Rosaline Filion, pulling off a sensational result in London to take that bronze medal. Well, a lot of fluidity in that second dive, and the movement, Chris, really snappy as they pulled out.
Yeah, very sharp. You see definite moves here. Up, pike, out. And then the arms moving at the same time. So, very assured of themselves. Good technique all the way throughout. That's why they're Olympic bronze medalists.
Yeah, good point. A little surprised to see them into the 50s in the first round, but not surprised at all to see that mark, 52.20. Could even have squeezed another point out of that dive. That was a super start from the Canadians, so they're ticking along nicely. Maria Cordio and Julia Stoller are welcome to the board. Very strange opening dive from these two. Just didn't seem to get away from the platform at all with any conviction. Cordio counts it out nearest the camera. That's much more like it, but unfortunately both washing over at the end.
Yeah, you can't do that and get really high scores. Just shows a small lack of control. But the start is good. Out of timing there, reaching back, and that movement over at the end has caused that splash. As they drift out, you can see the body tension, feet a little bit close to the diving board.
43.20. Oh dear, that is not good for Germany.
Yeah, the individual scores were right down, but that was because of the going over on the entry.
Nice opener from Cho and Kim. And a nice second round dive. A little splashy again on that entry, but a lot of good things prior to that.
Strong jump again. That's good. Piking above the board. They couldn't get their arms by the top of their legs a lot longer before reaching back.
Mid-40s again, though. But it'll be interesting when we get into the optionals to see what they've got. Cousineau and Bromberg for USA with their second round dive. There's Cousineau in your pictures. Sometimes the pairs vary who counts in and out of dives, but generally it's one of the pair that will take control, and it's Cousineau in this pair. Well, a long leap away from the platform, and that unfortunately cut the dive off a bit.
Yeah, they were a long way from the platform here, leaning forward, jumping forward. Dive was not too bad, moving the arms at the same time. But Cousineau somehow pulls the dive very, very short. Just had to reach back more on the entry. And you saw the collapse on the water. That was a poor entry from her.
Yeah, low mark as well, 42 for the USA. Interesting stuff in these first two rounds. Take a break there.
What drives exceptional performance in sports? Lexus Amazing in Motion brings you sports excellence. The more you share experiences, the greater they become. drives exceptional performance in sports? Lexus Amazing in Motion brings you sports excellence.
Welcome back to Barcelona. No wait this time for Timoshina and Pechikova. Timoshina, one of the real youngsters in this competition. There are a few who we will see, I'm sure, moving into a much higher gear come 2016. Yeah, that's absolutely fine from the Russian pair. Good entries. The synchronization a little bit out, but it's all right.
Now, when you do the open pike position, you have a choice of having your hands touch your toes there or out to the side. So the Russians opt in to touch the toes. We see the Chinese, when they do the pike, it's open with the hands out. So just a different style altogether.
49-2-0, nearly into the 50s with both their rounds. Pechikova with the blonde hair leading the team away. Pan, once again, will be nearest the camera for Malaysia. We go to side on. Malaysian team very strong these days, being led by Pang and her medals. First position after the first round, but you can't read too much into that. 3 optionals to come. Well, just a little over, but a good dive again.
Yeah, about 2 degrees, I think we're allowed that. It's just that small kick over might lose about half a point, right? Synchronization, but the arms are moving back for the water. Leon reaching back first on the left-hand side. And you can just see a small distance between them on the entry.
Not too badly hurt, though, by that. 51 marks. Clearly these two very much in medal territory in the minds of the judges, as are this next pair. Espinosa furthest away from the camera alongside Orozco. Yeah, nicely done. Orozco just a little splashy, but Espinosa looks very sharp indeed.
Yeah, really sharp and confident on the jump too. Straight up in the air, that's good. Well, there's a little bit of a swing, Orozco, and she can't hold that entry. To be the tighter stomach as she jumped into the pike.
46.80. No dramas yet for Espinosa and partner. Rising and Kormos then. Pair that we've seen many times on Eurosport over the years, and resplendent in those pink outfits. Judges certainly won't miss those, but they've got to find the diving to go with it. Slightly suppressed tariffs when we get into the optional diving. That's what really cost them in medal terms. But should make the final if they can get the entries right. A little bit splashy from Kormos.
Just watching there how close the feet are as passing the board. No, that was safe. But you can see the head was in the wrong position for Kormos as she comes out of the pike and can't hold the entry. I think she was filling fast. Good synchronization, perfect synchronization there. The moving out, it's great, these slow motions.
Yeah, they put a totally different spin on the coverage. And of course, what we see on those slow motions are not what the judges see. The judges make their decisions in that split second between the top of the platform and the divers hitting the water. Couch and Barrow, superb opener, but didn't get into the 50s. And a superb follow-up. They're asking the questions of the judges at least.
Yeah, that's much better. Very sharp going through the water. And he'll be happy with that. Very good. Back. Just a little arch there from Sarah Barrow going through, but I am being picky now because that is good synchronization. Just slightly better dive by Tonya.
Yeah, 52.20. Big smile from Tonya. Confirms they are back in business. And if they can keep nailing these entries, confirmation that the British pair are really sharp at the moment. Chen and Liu. Well, I love the way Liu is the one that is charged with counting things out. She certainly hit her entry there.
Actually, if looking at the dive, it was probably slightly better by half a point because Liu jumps up, Shenrilin has just gone forward. We can see the line going through the water. Shenrilin is just slightly further away on the platform, but here's the synchronization. Good at this point. Excellent not too close to the end of the board, and waiting before reaching back.
51.60. Interesting for Chen coming into the individual competition. It certainly looks like she's going to have some competition. And Jeong. And North Korea diving solidly. Looks like Indonesia are going to be the team that are shunted out of it at this stage, but optionals to come, so we will see whether that changes.
The standard of the synchronization has really gone up since we first saw it in the World Championships some 15 years ago. Now the divers train together in the gym, and everything's watched on the video, and synchronization is really spot on.
Good mark, 51.60. So after our first 2 easy rounds of diving, this is how things stand. And look at that, Malaysia and China absolutely neck and neck, with the Olympic bronze medalists just off the back of them in third. But it's this next 3 rounds that will tell all. 3 rounds of optional diving to come then here in Barcelona for the women's prelim 10-metre synchro competition. Top 12 pairs from 13 go through. Emily Boyd and Lara Tarvit of Australia will lead things off in each round. They've actually got a reasonable tariff across their 3 remaining dives. And that's unfortunate, just fell out of that one, Tarvit.
Yeah, Boyd as well, dropped very short. So Target on the right-hand side. Just see the synchronization just slightly out. And that's a shame on the entry. Just had to wait in the pike a little longer so that the feet would have gone in vertical.
63 for a 3.0 dive. They've got a 3.2 tariff to follow in each of the remaining 2 rounds, so a bit of protection there. We're going to see the same dive 3 times in a row. Benfeto and Filion, then Cujo and Stoller for Germany. The Americans also do it in this round, as do the Russians, the Malaysians, and then Chen, Liu, and Kim and Cho, China and Korea, North Korea. No, that's a miss for Canada.
Yeah, Filion right short. I think that might even hurt her stomach as she went through the water. So Filion on the right-hand side, letting the pair down. She moves ahead as she comes around. Drops very, very short. It's unusual to see that.
Benfeto will have seen those execution scores for her partner. She'll know where it all went wrong. Below 60 marks, and they cannot afford to do that in the final. That's where they're heading, I'm sure, but Canada can't afford to do that. Now that all plays into the hands of Germany. Australia's dive not convincing, a miss for Canada. Same dive now for the Germans. Chance to pick up some marks here. Well, I didn't like the start, Chris. They were all over the shot. There was no synchronization at all, and then both divers missing individually.
Stoller has a landing from right back on the end of the diving board, but here we can see Kurjo, as she hits the water, she rolls with flat feet. So another miss. We've seen the Canadians miss, and the Germans have done the same.
I won't be happy when the marks come up. 57.60. Perplexed look from Kurjo after that one. Now a bit of respite, different dive. Lower tariff at 2.8 for Cho and Kim. Looked sharp, though, in the first 2 rounds, with 2.5. And again, just unconvincing with that finish to the dive. You can tell we've gone into the optional rounds.
They're using the easy in with 2.5, 2.8. We see some divers doing in with 3.5 feet.
Mighty close.
Yes, I was watching that. It's about 2.5 centimetres there with the toes coming around from the platform. Now, you do not want to hit your feet on the end of the platform because it completely stops your rotation, and that can be very painful.
59.64 for a place in the top 12. They still look absolutely fine.
Popped up in the air.
Morocco, the country that travels within you.
Come back, 9 marks. Good experience nonetheless, and you have to start somewhere. Getting into a World Championship prelim competition is an opportunity to build that experience. Tymoshenina and Pechikova for Russia next. It'll be Tymoshenina nearest the camera. She's been doing all the counting. Well, both a long way back from the end of the board, but got it round nicely. Reasonable entries as well.
Yeah, that can be a problem. If you land too far back, then your feet come around on the first somersault and can actually hit the board. You'll notice here, well, they're just missing. But the entry, if they'd locked out a little bit more, that would have completely disappeared. You can see Tymoshenina not quite locking out with her hands, getting that rip entry.
68.40 though, first decent performance of that dive that we've seen so far in this competition. You can see both athletes not experienced at this level, still looking rather shyly across at the camera. Now, haven't Malaysia been diving well neck and neck with China at the top of the leaderboard after 2 rounds? They're going to struggle to stay neck and neck after that dive, though, unfortunately. Nobody nailing this particular dive.
And it's not a difficult one to do either. There's a throw in tight, coming around for the triple. Well, yeah, just needed to grab the hands a little earlier and then do the punch. The punch coming too late, so not quite getting the full lockout on the end. Just under 70 points.
Yeah, we'll get to see that dive done by China and North Korea to finish off this round. Espinosa and Orozco into the optional phase. Let's see.
Espinosa's still, I wonder why Espinosa was standing in the middle. So I'll go just a little bit loose going into that tuck. The heel should be closer to the body. Better tuck from Espinosa.
Different reactions from the coaching staff for Mexico. 78.72 though in terms of qualification, absolutely fine. But also in the final, that would be sort of medal level scoring. Hungary then, a little bit of pressure on them because it goes 2.8, 2.8, 3.0, so their tariff is not great for progression, but they can nail these dives. Oh dear, just over from Kormos again. Big plume of water shoots into the air.
I didn't like the start, so there was no jump up in the air. We just see them throw straight down. Distance is fine, squeezing hard on the pike, synchronization out. As you said, Conmas rolls her entry really hard on the end, but it's really a poor start.
62.16. Still absolutely fine in terms of qualification. They've outscored Indonesia by close on 30 marks.
Indonesia, though, just at 2.0 for their dive, so they had 1.2 more.
Yes, obviously building to the next level, and you can't bring those dives in too soon. So sometimes you do have to dive a competition or two with a lower tariff dive as you go to the next one. Couch and Barrow for Great Britain. Barrow nearest to the camera. Well, these two renowned for their rip entries. A little bit splashy, but synchronisation looked good.
Yeah, I remember last year they had a good chance for an Olympic medal, but finished 5th. 4th 2 years ago in this competition. Well, they'll be sharper in the final. Technically, everything is right on that inward 3.5. They can get tin cleaner than that, but 77.76 is okay for a prelim.
So, good stuff from the Great Britain pair. Chen and Liu. Are they going to show us how to do this forward 3.5? And there's your answer. Well, how good does Liu look at the moment? I mean, she is nailing every entry.
That entry was perfect. There was no splash. The 3.5, well, technically, look at this. They bounce off the end. First somersault there. Second somersault just under the board. Plenty of time to come out. They came out at 6 meters. And it's Shen Lim with a little bit of splash, but nothing for at all going through the water from Liu.
Yeah, Chen has disappeared and Liu's made her look splashy. That won't go down well. 81 marks, brilliant stuff on China. I think that heavy strapping on the right hand going onto the thumb for Chen has appeared since the last round, so may just have tweaked that going through the water in round 2. Kim and Cho of the People's Republic of Korea. They finish on the same dive. And that's good as well.
Yeah, the difference between the Chinese, though, is just the entries. We see Kim and Cho just a little loose coming around for their entry. But here, good jump. Very tight, face against the top of the shins, that's good. But you see a lot more splash than the Chinese on the end of the dive.
74.70, and the difference in the marks demonstrates exactly that. Three rounds of diving complete in this prelim competition in the women's 10-metre synchro. Malaysia, China, Mexico, Canada are all ticking along very nicely, so the usual suspects expected to go through to the final, top 12 to qualify. Indonesia are the pair that will miss out. Very difficult for them to recover from the start that they've made. 2 rounds of optional diving still to go, and for the first time in this particular tournament, Chris, we're actually seeing some of the younger divers coming through, whereas in the previous 2 competitions, quite a lot of established names still there.
That's right. We did say earlier that some of the established divers, they retired after the Olympics. That gives a chance for the junior national divers to come through and prepare, because they've got 3 years to get ready for the 2016 Olympics, which will be down in Rio, and it's the right time to give them the experience as well.
Any news yet on whether the Rio pool is indoors or out?
I think it's going to be out.
We do love an outdoor pool, don't we? It just changes the concept of the whole thing that you're watching.
We'll double check on that, though. But the divers, yeah, if the weather is nice and it's not too windy, it's perfect conditions here, even though we're high up on a hill. They do prefer diving outside. It's a better atmosphere.
Round 4 of diving about to get underway. 4 of 5 rounds in this women's synchro platform prelim competition. Little pause at this point, Chris, to change the judges.
That's right. If the competition is going to be a long one, then they change the judges just so that everyone remains fresh. If you sit in that heat under those umbrellas, you can be, well, just the scores start to slip.
Yeah. And a new panel of judges to convince, hence the very noisy welcome to the board from the Australian diving team for Emily Boyd and Lara Tarvit. Tarvit furthest away from the camera, Boyd closest to. Tends to do all the counting.
Ready, go.
And a double miss, I'm afraid.
Yeah, double miss. Boyd completely misses the sight, and Tarvit actually lines up incorrectly. Jump, just seeing how close they are. Oh, just a little close with their hair for Boyd. And Tarvit, arms come in front, and that actually accentuates the movement over on the end. So a miss for the Australians, under 60 points.
So the Aussies should be absolutely fine in terms of qualification. Should our Olympic bronze medalists. Missed though from Filion, furthest away from the camera in the third round. Did drop their mark right down. Back 3.5 then for the Canadians. Very specific and regimented count for that one. That's a much better dive.
Yeah, just looking at the technique at the start, the head should stay forward, and that's not too bad. The feet just head up a little bit going into the tuck. The kick out's at the right time. Body not really locked out. Both of them, a little splash been thrown up, not quite catching that rip sound and feel on the hands. I think they'll take it. It's only a prelim.
75.24. And yeah, you're quite right, Chris. We saw how much the men sharpened up from the prelim to the final in the 10-metre platform synchro. Kuyo and Stoller of Germany, they too have been a little sloppy, and worryingly for them down at 12, but fortunately for them, Indonesia not diving well enough to trouble them. And it's not great, is it? Stoller again with a very unfortunate entry.
Yeah, coming out of the dive, you're meant to reach, well, synchronization's out there, but reach more for the bottom of the pool. And we can see as soon as both of them hit the water, they start to roll their entry. That's not necessary. You can go down deeper than roll.
1.64, clearly not all well in the German camp at the moment. Unlikely they're going to follow the gold from Klein and Housding and the men's side of the draw. So working our way through this fourth round of dives. Cho and Kim next up for South Korea. It's been a problem dive for the athletes today, and South Korea make it look tricky as well.
Yeah, it's unusual to see a 3.5 go and miss from all of these divers. A little slow getting into the pike, still open at the second somersault. Could have closed off the pike, and because of that, they've finished low to the water, can't get the vertical entry. And that's a miss at 60 points.
But again, it won't be a problem for Cho and Kim. They will be going through to the final. Bromberg just going through her last bit of mental rehearsal, diving alongside Cheyenne Cousino for the USA. And fourth round dive, 3.3 on the tariff, back 3.5 somersault.
Most difficult dive for them. Oh, that was painful. Oh, dear.
Ouch, yeah, right on the shins. Bromberg just flexing the legs there before heading up to the surface.
Good start. Double, triple. Should be out earlier. Oh, look at that. Feet up to the diving board. So that's why Bromberg went over. Now she should be looking at the water on the triple somersault. Some of the divers like to see the board coming around on the first somersault.
Cheyenne just offering a bit of consolation there. 58.41 for the USA, and we're going to take a break there.
the country that travels within you. Live the World Swimming Championships with EDF, proud partner of swimming.
Timoshenina nearest the camera, Petukova furthest away. This very young Russian pairing. They do have a more experienced diver in Koltanova, but she hasn't appeared. So this is clearly the future for Russia. And just struggling a little bit as we've made the optionals, but they're not the only team to be having a tricky time of it.
Timoshenina better with the back 3.5. Petukova kicks a little late and washes over. Timoshenina just a little loose going through the water, but still young, they will get better.
67.32, yeah, you don't make a World Championship lineup for Russia if you haven't got what it takes. Back up to the top of the platform with the city of Barcelona spreading out away into the distant hills. There's two divers who have a genuine opportunity at the medals come the final. Dive their fourth round dive, Pang and Leong of Malaysia. Well, looked a little bit close there to the platform.
Yeah, the judges, in their discretion, can take anywhere from half to 2 points off. And bang, yeah, nearly clips the hair as she goes around, and then misses the entry. Caught the water on the top of her shoulders. So Leong with the better of the two entries.
67.20, they're going to have to tighten that up if they want to make a genuine challenge to China. The warm-up area, always fascinating at a diving pool. All sorts of weird and wonderful apparatus to be working on. Espinosa and Orozco for Mexico. Back 3.5 somersault in third at the moment. Well, again, we're keeping an eye on Espinosa from an individual point of view as well. And she has looked just a little shaky.
So, very fast spin. You've got to be accurate on the kick out and tight with the body. Also, the distance from the ball just slightly off.
Yeah, she looks so good in the first 2 rounds, really sharp, but into the optionals again, and clearly just not quite wants to be in terms of her preps for a while. So Ratzinger and Kormos of Hungary with a chance to wow the judges.
We'll see plenty in the last round. There's 11 twisters out of 13 divers.
Is that all?
Yeah. Back.
Well, we've always said this, they do twist nicely. Ratzinger in particular gets around very nicely.
Yeah, Kormos just flattening her feet, piking down. Here's the jump, 1.5 twist, 2.5 twist, and then actually Reisinger as well flattens her feet. So not very tight body coming out of the twist. There's the first 1.5 twist. You can just see Kormos' legs could be more locked out.
58.80. Reisinger, sister, younger, in the audience, just recording that one for posterity. Tonya Couch and Sarah Barrow then. Second position for the Brits. They've looked really good today. They haven't quite got the scores from the judges yet. And both falling out of that one for a miss, I'm afraid.
That's a real shame. Look at the synchronization. It was perfect. I was watching just one diver from the side. Sarah on the left, Tonya on the right. Synchronization is really good. Just a little short of vertical. If they can just get a snappier start, a faster throw at the beginning, and get the dive moving earlier and finish higher.
58.50. Andy Banks living through every aspect of that dive, the British coach of these pair from Plymouth, who produced some great divers over the years. Tom Daly from that region as well. I haven't seen any shots of Tom in the stands. Been suffering with a glandular problem coming into this championships, but says he feels recovered enough to compete. Liu, wait, 3 out of 3 so far. And not quite 4 out of 4. It was actually Chen that got the rip this time.
That's right, and Liu just slightly back from the diving board. There's the first somersault. Don't want to be too close. And we can just see Liu just a little further away from the board than Shen. So it was safe. Judges won't be deducting any points because of being too close.
4.88. And the red hot at the moment, untouchable. First 2 rounds, Malaysia were with them through the easy dives, but that's all a dim and distant memory now. Same dive then that we've just seen from the Chinese by the North Koreans. Interesting that they emulate their dive program, and to the extent where they do it in nearly every round. Certainly on the optionals they do the same dives.
Yeah, currently ranked 4th.
And the first miss that we've seen from the North Korean pair.
It's unusual for 1, let alone 2, to come out short. So slightly out of synchronization there. Cho closest to us, Kim furthest away. Just both needed to hold on to that tuck a fraction longer to get the vertical entry. Out too early, low score.
Yeah, not a great score, I'm afraid, for those two. So 4 rounds of diving completed. General Lin and Yu lead from the Mexicans, Espinosa and Orozco. And the Malaysians, Pam and Leon, recover the situation to get back in 3rd. Unfortunately, that miss from the British pair, dropping them outside the top 3. But it's not about medals. This is the prelim competition. Top 12 all important. And at the moment, Germany in 12th position, but comfortably ahead of Indonesia. And nothing will change in the 5th round other than maybe a couple of placings here and there. But that's how it should be for the final, those top 12. Now then, it's the 5th round, 5th and last round for this prelim competition. And it's a case of let's twist again. As Chris Snowd said, 11 out of the 13 dives will be twisters.
Yeah, the only 2 dives, it's a 3.5 and a back 2.5. But here's the start of the twisters from the Aussies.
Ready? Go.
Solid enough finish then for the Australians. That's one of their better dives.
Tarvik had a brilliant dive, diving furthest away from us. They're taken off together. That was a good start. And we see just Boyd, just a little bit wobbly, but much better entry from Lara Tarvik. Tarvik on the left will have a higher individual score than Boyd.
There we go, marginally so. Good synchronisation as well from the pair for 77.76, and big smiles at the camera, suggesting they're happy with that finish. Same dive then for Benfetto Filion, the Olympic bronze medalists. Been a little sketchy in a couple of the rounds. So down in 5th at the moment. Back 2.5 with that 1.5 twist to finish their programme. Nice finish, and we look forward to seeing them in the final.
Yeah, I just saw Filion with a little bit of a twist going through the water. Well, there's synchronisation. Legs could be a little bit more locked out from Benfetto. They're over 300 points, so that'll do.
Well, not only 11 twisting dives, but the same twisting dive in this final round, so the judges are going to have plenty of opportunity to really take a good look and compare from pair to pair. Koryo and Stoller's take on the back 2.5 with 1.5 twist. 12th position, but not really under pressure. Stoller's having real problems today, and the problem with this back twister, Chris, is how you get into it from the top of the platform, and Stoller just leaned and threw herself right into that.
Because the arms swing too slow, she's using the lean away from the diving board to help her get going on the dive, and runs out of room. So it needs to be more jump up in the air. And you can see the synchronization is completely off, hitting the water in different places.
65-8. Not really medal contenders, but it's fine. They've made the final. Spain, there's one of their heroes. Javier Lana hoping to get something for the home fans as he moves towards the back end of his career. Chong Kim. No synchronization, unfortunately, on that one, so we're not really seeing this twisting dive executed particularly well by anybody at the moment.
Yeah, it's very important to have a lot of body tension, otherwise your feet come apart, and especially pulling forward into the pike, it takes too long. If your muscles are tense, then you pull forward, your reactions are much faster, and you can see very sloppy in the twist and the somersault.
55.68. And a dive that should be comfortably into the 70s with, if you can get the synchronization and a decent entry. USA then will show us for the 5th time this dive. Then we'll have a bit of a break. And then we'll be back into the twisters after that. So showing Cousineau and Samantha Bromberg to finish off. They've looked good, they've looked solid, they haven't looked like medal contenders at the moment.
Yeah, back in 10th. It's the positioning, though.
Yeah, may climb a place with that.
You could see the potential, though. If they trained more together and got the takeoffs a little sharper and then the entries a little sharper, then they're going to improve. Good technique, feet pretty much together, not too loose, like we saw with the Koreans. Now, I reckon just by getting tighter entries, they could improve by, say, 30 or 40 points on that score.
So nobody over the 300 mark. Indonesia. What about experience for this pair coming into this competition? Canada of 2.5 then for the youngsters.
Go.
And again, another miss, I'm afraid, and that was a painful one.
Yeah, you can really feel it on the top of the shoulders. It feels like if your hands are out of position, it feels like someone's hit you across the back of your shoulders with a cricket bat. Just a little slow spinning, missing the hands as well. Would have caught the head.
44 marks for 203.67, so Indonesia won't progress. Russia have dived well in the prelims, and considering how young they are, Tymoshenina and Petrushkova still very much teenagers, they've acquitted themselves very well. 6th position at the moment. They finish on this back twister again. That's much more like it. Very nice.
Yeah, 6th position is good, just behind the Canadians. Strong jump. Into the somersault. No feet flying around, that is good. 3.2. I'll take that. So will they get 70 points?
Yeah, every chance of doing that, and they've done it. 73.92 for 308.04, so they join Canada into the 300s. This little competition developing for the medals. Pam and Lyon would have fancied them through the first 2 rounds, then dropped away off the pace, but they're back in business again. Their closing dive, same dive again. Well, start looked good, finish looked good.
It's quite good from a coaching point. You can see where the arms come up narrow. It's not a shot we'd normally see for the diving. So we know the technique into the twist is good. There, the pull forward, head just up a little bit. It's always a small gap between the head and the shins on the pike. But good solid dive for them to finish this prelim.
Yeah, one of the better executions of that back twister, 70.08 for 310.98. very close, isn't it?
Yeah, 2 points ahead of the Russians and the Canadians.
That's what we like to see, though. That's going to give us a decent final. Paula Espinosa and Alejandra Orozco will be hoping that they can dive a little better than they have. We thought Espinosa was looking really sharp, but again, into those slightly more complex dives, and clearly she's just a little bit off the pace at the moment that we know she's capable of. She was all over the place with her feet on that one.
They're going into the pike from the twist, feet a little bit flat. Strong jump. Yeah, you see the feet fluttering away and the feet flat from Zorko. Twist technique is actually fine. They just need to work on the body tension.
72 marks, though. Good enough for the Mexicans. 3:14.25. They will be medal contenders without doubt. 4 to come. I tell you, that's a slightly dodgy poolside microphone. The Chinese coach of Mexico doesn't sound like that in real life. Rosinger Kormos to finish for Hungary. It's their tariff that lets them down, and they cannot afford to miss dives like that. They're just fortunate that Indonesia are so far back.
I was wondering if Kormos, there on the right, actually hurt her back as she went in the water. Reisinger misses her entry, but Kormos hits the water and scoops. Ouch. And her feet come over the top of her head.
Yeah, that is not good.
Yeah, she's okay.
2:56.26. And go through in 12th spot after that by the looks. Andy Banks watches on as Tonya Couch and Sarah Barrow prepare to do the dive that we've seen so many times in this round. 4th at the moment, but they'll feel they can squeeze plenty more out of their performance in the final. Okay, pretty good from the British pair.
Very good dive from Tonya. Sarah just falling short of vertical. Sarah on the left, Tonya on the right. And you can see Sarah can't quite keep the feet together on the twist and is reasonably short on the entry. Very good dive from Tonya Couch, though, so her individual scores will be higher. So Tonya scored the 7s, down 6, 6.5 for Sarah.
3:06.54.
So just behind the Russians and the Canadians.
China then, once again, are we going to get a masterclass for this twister? That's pretty much what that qualifies as. The 2 rip entries as well, making that a beautiful dive.
Shen was showing off there. Liu has a little bit of a splash. Shen Rulun with a near perfect dive, closest to us, hits the water, locks out, and hardly any splash whatsoever. The Chinese had an 18-point lead over the Mexicans going into this round. Well, look how tight that pike is. We haven't seen a pike coming out of a twist as tight as that. So it was a masterclass.
3:40.92, bit of a no contest in this prelim in terms of the top positions. And to finish off, People's Republic of Korea, Kim Jin-ok and Cho In-gyong dived very well. They copycat, they emulate the Chinese dives all the way through the optionals. Can they emulate what we've just seen from the Chinese pair? Yes, we knew the answer to that question, unfortunately. Not a great finish from them.
Cho very short on the entry, diving closest to us. Better entry from Kim. But both of them, the feet, not very tight. Good pike position for Cho.
54.72 for 2:85.30, and we will watch the final leaderboard with interest because Hungary putting themselves under real pressure with that complete miss in round 5. Chinese pair looking good as we expected here in Barcelona. It's all smiles. And they looked very, very confident through those 5 rounds. Chen heading towards gold medal number 4 in a row in this particular competition.
We were saying the placings are very important because psychology, when you're in front of the judges for that final, they'll know that if you're diving last, that you were the best in the prelims. If you're diving first, they knew that you just scraped through.
Confirmation then of our qualifiers and our final scores as we move down through the list. Be a couple of teams in there, the likes of Canada and Russia and Great Britain, that will be looking to tighten things up for a shot at the medals. But for the moment, China, Mexico, Malaysia head through as our top 3, and Hungary hanging on to that 12th spot despite that big miss. Indonesia miss out at this stage, but that's your full lineup for the final in the women's 10-metre synchro. So that's it for our diving for the moment from Barcelona. Fantastic men's 10-metre synchro final, Chris, and something to look forward to from the women as well.
Certainly. Germany getting that gold, China have a gold, and will China win second gold in this women's competition?
Yes, I think that's fairly straightforward to answer that one, just barring a real shocker from Chen and Liu. Right, this is how things line up for the rest of the day. We've got pool talk coming up in around about 2 3/4 hours. And after that, we'll have live coverage